Hi, everybody. Um, it's a beautiful night in Ottawa. I hope it's a beautiful night everywhere. And we'll just wait for a couple of seconds until a few more people drop in. So we have a question from Rosemary Menard in Toronto. And she says, last while ago, I guess, you said you think our lives are metaphorical and symbolic of the stories we tell to ourselves. It's an interesting kind of thing. And she said, I wonder if you could speak more about that. Also, a few weeks ago, you talked about broadening our relationship with service, and I was wondering if you could elaborate on that as well. You know, one of the things that uh, we miss, gosh, we're only normal folks, so we kind of miss how we arrange and engage with life and the stories we tell, and how uh, how and why we might tell those stories, whatever they may be. And one of the interesting things about this is that we construct a system we call personality, but it's not really a personality. It's kind of a backdrop to our expressions, and we think of them in a second, and we're engaged with them with other people in a second. And most of those engagements are fundamentally involved with constructing a self within ourselves so that we can feel comforted uh, on a daily basis. Um, and the metaphors are all about valuing and devaluing, uh, having a sense of being um, of some value, and then kind of perhaps trying to see what that is, give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Our dilemma is that we don't see how that is. We believe we do somehow, but we don't quite see how we actually relate to life. We see the stories, and they're metaphors of how we engage with life, or how we see ourselves and try to understand ourselves. Um, it's kind of like an armor or a shield that we put up so that we feel comforted by a sense of worth. A little bit repetitious there, but maybe you get the idea. I'm just wondering if I put anything down here. These metaphors and some the symbolism of our stories are kind of, they touch us. They touch us, not only people who we might tell these stories to. And it's like reassuring, constantly reassuring. And we need this reassurance. I'm not sure what it would look like if our minds were totally and completely quiet all the time. Whether that internal emotional system of ours would express itself through that quiet. I suspect it would. To remind us that there is a worth, there is a value in being expressive in some manner about our lives. Um, I know many of us tell stories for purposes and reasons so that maybe we can get to the point where we can understand that there may be more afoot in our lives than what we understand. And usually that's true. Um, we reach certain ages, and it's unfortunately not very old, where we start to embellish and engage in a kind of a way that we need to keep our, let's say, our images moving forward so that they won't be forgotten. And we have other images that place themselves before us as we engage with life uh, under various circumstances. It's a very interesting thing that we have great difficulty noticing these things. And I wonder whether it might be important sometimes not to notice, and important sometimes to notice this is how we approach life. Others do the same thing, although when others are doing it, I'm wondering whether we pay as much attention. And there's an old traditional way of engaging um, with life, and that is to entertain other people. When you entertain other people, they will like you more. Therefore, you're worthwhile, more worthwhile because you're the entertainer. Um, I got a real sniff of this many years ago, probably when I was in my late 20s. And some may say that's a lot of years ago. But I realized that um, people connect with you because you are entertaining. But the substance of that entertainment is a lot less than what we believe might be valuable. Well, you can say that, but Ron, you see a lot of entertainers in the theater. You engage with certain people when you're watching a movie. You relate to attempting to understand comedy, for example, when you're listening to those kinds of entertainers, or musicians or artists, and trying to understand what they're trying to put forward. And it can end up being physical, emotional, or mental kinds of things that they're trying to put forward, but they're trying to put forward something that is probably categorized as something related to their internal self. And that's likely true of anyone and everyone. But by doing this, you expose your internal self to others. Now, we're very fortunate that not very many people understand what you're exposing. They're not tremendously psychologically astute. Although that's changing in our world. There's a tremendous level of psychological subtlety that is being, let's say, noticed more and more by people on our planet. And there are, unfortunately, many who don't notice. But when you're looking at an engagement with this kind of territory, you start looking at it from your own perspective. listen to what you're saying. Recognize that you want response from what you say, and recognize that that response is for you to feel comforted. And therefore, it makes it easier if you have someone that you can talk to and they can respond to you and you can respond to them. But they're responding to an image that may or may not even be real. And that image is the image or the armor that personalities construct for a purpose of engaging with life on many levels, whether it be business or whether it be just being friendly and attempting to do so. And then it switches to admiration. You want more of that kind of thing. And this is a dilemma in our world, because we have things that we say, well, it's not really why I'm doing it. It's more like this and more like that. But there's all kinds of strategies that go out there now about how you should be with other people. But how should you be with yourself? And this is an interesting question. With yourself, you can attempt to be as honest as you can. Meaning, if you're watching you engage with life, you can be honest about what's going on in that, but you don't have to discuss that with anybody else. The reason for that is that you're learning about you. And the subtlety of learning about you cultivates a recognition within you about the fact that not always is anyone interested in learning about them. Whether they're interested or not, and whether you are or not, or whether I am or not, it starts to show up if you show any interest in this. And it's sometimes very uncomfortable for the individual to watch themselves engaging with life, because they may or may not agree with how they function. And even if they don't agree, they'll find a reason for agreeing. This is normal personality stuff. There's an interesting subtlety in that if you begin to meditate or begin to honestly ask questions of yourself, you start to see yourself. And you begin to recognize after a bit that there are subtle things that occur within you that are helpful to you. And one of them is asking questions about you to you. Be gentle, be respectful, be kind, be willing to get an answer that is not necessarily fundamentally the one that you prefer. If indeed you do this kind of thing, it's not about telegraphing how you are inside to others. That's not real then, because the reality of doing that is setting up a stage that relates to value, your value as a personality in the eyes of others, depending on how you're looking at this. There is a certain level of honesty, if cultivated inside, will make you more curious, frustrated sometimes, but more curious about how an individual functions in this world. Truly, it sounds separate from living and doing, oh, why should we do this kind of thing? You do it because you're trying to understand you and recognize that you have certain things that you believe have to be true. Otherwise, somehow you are not worthy. We have cultural backgrounds and social backgrounds, all this kind of stuff, and we all have. But you, in a sense, are worthy of knowing you better, of being curious about you. And engaging that way, it allows a subtle level of loving to move into you so that you can perceive it. Now, I'm not going to give you any gift here, because if there is another subtlety of loving moving into you, then you're going to be in a position where you're going to have to deal with loving. And that's not loving you as you are, or bad-mouthing you as you are. That's exposing you as you are to you as an act of love for you. Now, here's the deal. Nobody is perfect. I don't care what you play, what part you play. It's just a part you play, and a part you think is very valuable. And you'll continue to do that because you practiced it for years, even if you're in your 20s. But it's a part that linking up to something deeper, that sense of loving, will draw tears to your eyes from nowhere. And it's not about being sad. It's about, where did that come from? The reason why it happens that way is the armor that's inside of us starts to settle down a little bit, because in those moments, there's a silence. The silence is involved with not remembering how you are, how you need to protect that, how you need to engage with it, how it has to be expressed in a certain way. Otherwise, people won't believe it, or this is this way, or this way, or that way. But this sense of loving is full. And if you can be a little calmer in it, it emits a kind of gentleness. Now, for some, you may not want that gentleness. And because with that gentleness also comes the reflexes that we have against being too gentle in an inappropriate time. In other words, a time when our expression of how we normally have been is less than how it should be under a set of circumstances. Yeah, that's not easy. But the subtlety of those images being expressed by not only our stories, are just the way we function. They are stories, but nonetheless. Suddenly, there's a gaping little hole in between them. And there's a flow of softness, gentleness, respect for others. And it sets up a vibration in you if you don't have as much respect for others and understanding of others and recognition of the vulnerability of others. It sets up a place that makes you feel uncomfortable within you. And that is difficult to get used to, but it's really worth getting used to, worth understanding at least. And this comes out of meditation, allowing you to sit back and see you better and let go and maintain an attention within that allows you to consider something beyond yourself and the images and the stories, the metaphors that you come up with and need to come up with. Otherwise, you have a sense of devaluation that occurs within. This happens to everybody as they grow. And if it does happen to everybody as they grow, no one needs to hear how it happens to you, especially in your extra special visa, because of it. Now, here's a little interesting story. Less story, more idea. If this begins to occur, then you can cultivate engaging in life without necessarily needing attention for it. You can cultivate that, and here's the reason. If you do need attention for it, your armor comes up. The intensity is strong. Energy comes to preserve that because you are the one who's trying to preserve it. It's okay. It's part of what people do, all of us. But if you can open just a little bit, then the energy can come in a gentle, in a more balanced and appropriate manner, in a direction of someone unknown to you for the first 150,000 times. Unknown to you because it's trying to get you to let go of the importance of a focus that we have trained ourselves to have. Not to obliterate it, just to soften it down so you then can have the ability of noticing that flow operate through you. Not only in you with great intensity, because that's the armor that you're struggling with, but letting go and watching it flow through to help others so that they can begin to grow. And that's basically called service. And this concept of service has been asked by a few. This concept of meditation, learning how to quiet down, has been asked by a few. We have the strangest thing, but most important thing in our way of looking at the world at these levels, where our system, whoever that may be, one's system, however you want to hear it, believes that it is the most valuable thing, whether it be spiritual growth, material interaction, doesn't matter. And it affects all of us on these planes. Now, you can come up and say, no, I don't think like that. Blah, 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 blah. It's because you haven't seen you think like that. It's because it's in everybody. It's at the core of the relationship that we have with existence here during our time when we are here. It touches us because others have it too. So we can't blame them because it happens to be in us too. And the nature of this relates directly to life. It's a relationship with existence. And that peace inside that comes up is not a verbal thing. It's as if there's quiet, silence inside. And it's a dilemma for us because of the intensity that we need to have in us from our perspective to be able to deal with daily life. Even when there's nothing that we are concerned about, we still have to engage with life, meet our interactions with others and ourselves, and we pull intensity together. We often call that intensity will. But we pull that will together to go and do something or not do something. Both of them take will. And when we do this, we're pulling that armor together, tightening up, and engaging in a matter that surely must frustrate some of us from time to time. Because, if you do something for a period of time, like if you meditate for a period of time, I've heard people say so often, by this period of time, you should be now extra specially valued by a higher state and function wonderfully with this great intensity of energy and engage and should be recognized by others. It's the kind of nonsense that we all are a part of. Why I say that is it increases our intensity around being personally considered valuable, which intensifies the will, personifies the will. You're not seeing anything. You're not seeing within. You're seeing this organizational system that lies within us for various purposes. Now, this is not a devaluation because if we don't have these kinds of things from time to time, we effectively get nothing done, especially in the north and south temperate zones, where we really believe that this is a very important thing, and it is to some degree. Now the question is, can you have both? It's a good question. Will we allow ourselves to have both? Because we're in love with the way we have always been, and the way we have been told we have to be valuable. And without even knowing that, everyone has renditions of this all around the world. So you have your rendition, I have mine. Can you do this? keep a personality effectively and still gain access to an engagement with the higher state. It's my considered opinion, it's just an opinion, and a recognition, possibly, from time to time, that you can. That doesn't make you any better than anybody else. And if you turn that around and say, well, if you really can, then ignore yourself and expose yourself to folks so that if it is possible as a service to humanity, you might be able to notice energy flowing through you without embellishing you. It's not about you. It's about that flow that operates through you. Now, this is a cell, one could say. If it is, it's a hard one, because the nature of all of our engagements with spiritual growth, most all, has been directly focused on the importance of the individual. And you know, it's so funny. If you were subtly able, you would begin to notice that people on the street have systems open, if you're talking about the chakras or sephira, or valves, like I sometimes call them. If they are subtly opening a bit, you'll be aware of it. Now, your assessment of how they're open is not going to be really as valuable as you believe. So therefore, that importance is irrelevant. Even when we tell stories, oh, this person is not really open too much, a little bit. That's you doing you being important for you. You're telling you you're important. Look at it from a different point of view. If that person is open there and you can calm down wherever it is, I don't care where it is. It may be working on something that you have no clue about. And calm down inside. Maybe ask a little bit to practice for help for any around you that could be helpful for that energy to operate through you. And maybe ask for help for calming down. Then subtly, maybe that person or people somewhere, somehow, someplace within them might be helpful. It's the most interesting thing. Very curious. You all know that, at least within earshot, some of the stuff that we've been doing, the concept of this is, it's not about you getting to the point where you can feel a bunch of energy. It's you getting to the point where you can back away from yourself enough to be helpful beyond you. So these exercises are there for that reason, to help you open. The dilemma is that the intensity that you hold within yourself gets stronger, because that's where your focus is. Now remember, we just talked about that in a kind of a funny way. that if you're focused on you and how you need to be, and and that's what we're taught, then wherever you focus, the energy gets stronger. If you can learn how to back away from that and still consider what you need to do and be, but softer, then the energy comes in softer. But it's still functional. I learned this. I had some friends over many years ago, early 70s, and the intensity was quite strong. These are folks I was making lunch for. I was concentrating on lunch so much that my hands were moving so quickly. And a good friend said to me, "Are you aware of the fact that your focus is moving your hands like that? And we have lots of time, but you're making lunch like that." And I said, "No, I'm not." And then I realized what was happening and I slowed it down. I slowed it down because I was using a particular kind of way of calming down inside, which I taught to you. And it slowed me down, calmed me down. Still got the lunch made. Didn't go into real slow. It was moderately quick. But my attention was focused away from what I was doing and on what I was doing. It was an important lesson for me. And I realized it's what we do all the time. It's what everybody does. The subtlety of our learning is annoying to most. But if you slow things down and say, okay, this makes some sense. Okay, this is what I'm doing. Okay, let me try and do it slightly different, not a whole lot, slightly different. Then I'm going to be able to see what I'm doing a little bit better. Yeah. Sometimes that'll be more frustrating, like I said before. But it will be revealing and helpful. And it might make you laugh a few times, rather than being so bloomin' serious about the process of being extra special in your growing mode. None of us do this extremely well. So the stories you tell yourself about being extra specially good at doing that are just stories that you need to tell you to make you feel more comfortable. It's what happens to all of us in our growing process. Nobody's exempt. No matter what image you hold in your mind, just do the best you can and laugh. Smile a lot. Recognize that it's the one fundamental. And I'm not talking about telling jokes here. I'm talking about seeing how we are and being okay with it and continuing and subtly slowing it so that less intensity goes to that which you practice, and you can slide the intensity over to softening and learning. I know it's a crazy thing to say out loud, but it sounds weird. But you can learn from you. And in doing that, you will begin to learn and understand others from a perspective that's different than when you judge others and need to do that to value your position in relationship to existence, your existence, whatever that is. It's okay to have ideas. Everybody's got them. But once you start padding them, you're not going to be able to get rid of them because you're going to have to protect them more. Try to find a balance someplace along the line. It will be helpful to you, but maybe it may be helpful to others. So let's see if I've covered some stuff that I wanted to. I did talk about also this idea about lifelong learning. You can do that physically, emotionally, and mentally. But if you do that, I have a warning for you. You will change unless you demand that you remain the same. The way you think, the way you act, the way you respond, you will change because you are attempting to learn all through your life for a purpose that is really involved with preparation of a mind, reconstruction of an emotional disposition, continually trying to keep the physical in reasonable shape because it's attached to the emotional system. And without any doubt, this part up here is attached to our physical system as well. So it makes some sense to do things of this nature. And old traditions about not necessarily needing to learn anything new as we get older. And older is anything over 30 or 40, depending on how you look at things, is an older tradition. It's an important one because we still have to function. But if you really want to learn something about yourself, deepen your range of curiosity. Do it for a purpose that relates to doing what you can to build a form that could be used for another level or another purpose, a higher purpose, perhaps you could say higher. And it's not to underline the personality, it's to allow you to have more confidence internally. No perfection there, so that you're not afraid to tackle the subject that is very difficult. I think that one's very hard for everybody. If you really get involved with it, you'll understand that you have limitations. We all do. But remember, if you read 2 pages of a subject you can't make sense of, and read them over and over again, you'll have ideas in there that you never had before because you'll remember them somewhere within. And somebody will start a conversation a month or 2 after. And you say, I don't know much about that subject, but that's more about this, isn't it? And they'll say, well, yes, that's true, it is. And you might be able to ask a question. You might get an answer. You may find it, the fact that you don't want to hear the answer because you don't know much about it. But pay attention. Those little lines that you engage with, little tiny pieces of information will be added to. Brain's a funny thing. It takes in material It engages with it. It stretches with the material that it's already got in there. And you may see things from a different perspective. One can only hope. And I don't mean that negatively. I mean that in the most constructive manner. That we can broaden the way we see things so we can maybe be more helpful than we understand we can be at some point, somewhere, someplace. I wish you well with that, because that's an important question, and thanks, Rosemary, for the question. There's another one that's been bothering Lori. She's Delaplante from Ottawa. She's had a little bit of difficulty with her hands. When we're doing energy exercises, we're asking the energy to flow out of our hands to above and below our feet. You're really not doing that, actually. But if you do that, energy will. All you're doing is focusing, letting the energy go where it needs to go. You're not trying to control it. This is really an important thing. It's not a mistake or anything. It's just how we would normally think. You focus down there, that should go there, and focus up there. And I have said you should focus 3 to 6 feet above your head. And the reason for that is there's still link-ups up there that can be involved down here on these planes, and they can affect other centers. And that's true, they can. Okay, what feels like a constant, she believes that energy accumulates in her hands and feet, causing what feels like a constant arthritic pain in the joints of the wrists and the hands. More recently, some occasional pain in the left big toe. While I will check with my doc to see if there's any indications of arthritis, my sense is that more likely it's energy related. She gets tingling in her arms and legs, hands and feet. Let me look at that one first. I mean, there are things that I've written down here, but let me try and consider this. There are, and I have talked to other people about this, so maybe a good thing to talk about. There are areas in the body, especially close to the physical form. One at the ankles. And they can affect the feet, including the big toe, but the whole foot. Energy can come up the backs of the legs or the front of the legs, but often the back, to the buttocks area, and then up the spinal area, off the body, but can be noticed, right into the neck and ears and shoulders, down the arms, and into the wrists, because they relate to the throat. So do the ankles, by the way. And your feet, as they turn on, if they turn on, will affect the hands and vice versa. And the energy will go up to the top of the head. Our normal focus is on the body. That's just the way it is for all of us, whether we like it or not. You dress it up, you fix it up, you walk out into the world. It's what we do. So everything that moves in us is our focus. Our purposes, our way we address ourselves, the way we engage. And you're doing the right thing to check with the doctor to find out whether you have arthritic problems, because that can happen and happen easily. So, with this, I would always say that you should try to do the pump. The reason for that is that the energy, the movement of the pump will draw energy around the system and not let it hold in the same place. Okay. When you do that pump, you try and soften down, almost like a meditative state, so that the energy can move and not focus on the armor that we were just talking about, the personality's way of engaging with the world, because it tightens up that engagement of what I'm talking about. And we hold it because it's near and dear to us, and it should be. We hold it tight, and many of us do this. In holding it tight, energy will go to those places we hold it tightly. If you walk tightly, energy will go there, because you're holding your focus, whether it be conscious or unconscious, goes right to that place. And the more energy you have moving around, let's say focused physically, hear what I said, focused physically, which aligns with the emotional system, the more energy will be in the emotional system at the physical level. This is a considerable statement for people who are focused literally, like we are, on the body, our personality, and what we must do in life. And it happens all through life. I'm not going to make a statement about what causes arthritis, because there are so many causes. But I can make a statement about the intensity, literally, of a focus on the hands, rather than a focus, literally, open the hands, I usually say, and then focus on the space between the hands. So if all of you do that right now, most of you, almost immediately, who have been doing this, will feel energy in the hands, yes, because we're physically focused, but now try and focus off the body into the space between the hands. And you'll feel a bump up, just a slight one, but a bump up, meaning the focus has moved to a bit of another level, still related to the personality, because that's what we have. That's where all of our focus is. So in doing that, immediately you can try and relate to a higher state. I say dumb things like, give me a hand with this, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing, depending on the situation. Yeah, but Ron, if you say things like that, people aren't going to be impressed with you. I don't care. Here's the point. Well, I do care from time to time. But anyway, here's the point. I'm trying to engage in a way that relates to my letting go, as well as my engagement with the focus on a personality, because everybody's got one. So when you're doing things like this and your hands open more, it means the wrists will open more. The energy will flow up and down the arms. Then when you go to do the balancing, which is just let the hands move you, let's start off here roughly underneath the armpits, and just open the hands. And if energy is flowing, you don't have to focus anywhere. It will flow beyond your physical form. And then roll the hands over and focus down. Let the energy go where the hands want it to go. Not your hands, higher levels of energy that relate to the hands. And when that begins to occur, you'll often notice the hands will move on their own. But it's not guided by your personality saying the hands are moving on their own. The personality will fake anything. It's what we normally, I shouldn't have said fake, will accommodate anything. Accommodation meaning show the value of the personality to the personality of itself. It does this all the time. We are trained to do that. You copy other people. If they're really uppermost in your mind, you unknowingly or knowingly copy other people so you'll be important like them. You could be copying anything. In the old traditions, they used to copy animals in how they defended themselves, and that was helpful in learning how to defend yourself. We copy. It's what we do. Know it. See it. Be kind, respectful about it. Recognize it and soften down. Let go. Let go of it. Doesn't have to be perfect. Let go. When things move, the energy will begin to move the hands. They won't, well, let's say this. The energy will shock you when they move. Your personality, automatically, you'll just be doing it. No surprise. I wish we could freeze that statement because it's not related to anything related to the personality at all. It just happens to move in a particular way. But the personality, so help me, is so fundamentally capable of surviving in this world related to any particular issue that it has to deal with. And it's not always helpful, but it sometimes is. I don't know whether that was helpful or not, but what I would do suggest is remember, if your root center is on really strong, redirect the energy upward. If your emotional intensity is strong, get those hands out underneath the armpits and just sit there and see if any response occurs. The hands down, and don't try to focus below your feet. Let the hands do that. Let the energy do that. When you roll it over, you'll begin to notice the flow moving upward. Let it go. You've tried these things enough to allow then, let's say, the things that you do not to be perfect, and to look for the energy to flow on its own without you telling it where to go. But keep your wits about you in relationship to you and in relationship to the subtlety that can occur when the energy is moving through you, because it is soft. but it will flow strong if your intensity is strong to have it do this or that or something else. And it's the nature of it. I wish everybody well, and I'm certainly looking forward to not this weekend, but next weekend after that. And I wish you all well. Any more questions? We'll try and answer as many as we can. Thank you so much. Good night, everybody. Now we'll begin to do the balancing and grounding on your own. Good night, everybody. Have a good weekend.